Hi, I'm Karl Conrad. I'm part of the Australian Immigration Law Services team. We are registered migration specialists based in Sydney, and we provide visa services for those looking to live, work or study in Australia. Subscribe to our channel to get the latest visa requirements and tips on how to improve your visa application. We also share important immigration news such as major changes to eligible occupations or immigration rules. Remember to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our important updates. We have finally covered all the 8 state and territory nomination programs across Australia, so it's time to take a look at them as a whole and give them a ranking of which ones are better than others. If you missed any, all the videos will be linked in the description below, or you can use the playlist linked at the end of this video. Let's go through some key considerations before I reveal the final overall ranking. These factors include fairness and consistency, range of eligible occupations, and ease of requirements. When it comes to fairness and consistency, there is a clear winner here, and that is Tasmania. The state has showed up the rest of the country in how to treat international students who move to their state and try and gain sponsorship through having an occupation list and requirements that do not change on a whim. Of course, the changes have been made, but there have been transitional arrangements put in place to cover a before and after date. This way, considerable effort is made to ensure that those who have moved to Tasmania before a certain date are not disadvantaged and can still use the old guidelines. No other state has done a better job over the years. I'm not sure why other regions just don't get it. Everyone wants to be treated fairly in life, and being a government doesn't give them the right to change the rules that can devastate people's lives. For example, the Western Australian government ruined the lives of many international students there when it closed and changed many occupations on the list. Many of them had moved on the promise of state nomination, but in the end, for those students, their pathway to permanent residency just disappeared. The Northern Territory has been pretty good, but some of their decisions have not had the excellent transitional arrangements like Tasmania. Still, compared to other regions, they are extremely reliable. South Australia came out with this new sponsorship program earlier this year and immediately ruined their chance of being considered consistent by taking some occupations off their list without warning and then placing them back on a couple of weeks later. However, some occupations when they came back had tougher requirements. Time will tell if you're going to be able to trust South Australia in the long term. New South Wales has been known for its inconsistent state nomination program for many years. With the new 491 sponsorship criteria set out, the sponsoring regions should be uniform in their approach, but still some of them cannot resist making their own extra requirements. The 190 program has been great if your occupation is on the list, but changes do occur without notice, and if you miss out, it's just bad luck. New South Wales gets away with this approach because they know Sydney is a premier location to study, so in fact the government is making no effort at all to attract international students. While the Canberra matrix requirements have remained fair and consistent, the same cannot be said for their occupation list. These lists have changed often without warning. Fortunately, they do not change every month, and lately more occupations have been added than removed. However, they have something the other states do not. The fastest pathway to state nomination can be just 3 months for the 491 visa. In this case, people take the risk of their occupation remains on the list just long enough to meet the requirements. However, if you're going there for long-term study and hopeful that when you finish you may have a chance at ACT sponsorship, you are being very hopeful indeed. Queensland offers very little to international students and offers no graduate pathway. If you study there, you will need to rely on getting a job in your nominated occupation if you are lucky enough that your occupation is on the list. However, their small business owner program for the 491 visa is the only shining light for those lucky enough to have the money to use it. When they have changed their requirements for this program, transitional arrangements were put in place to ensure nobody has been disadvantaged, so full marks for that consideration. So far, their criteria has remained stable enough to be considered fair and consistent. Victoria has severely limited its opportunities and has a self-serving "what can you do for us" approach. Their current occupation range is very limited and did not even have registered nurses NEC on the list, but I'm sure if mass infections broke out, that attitude would soon change. Little regard has been paid to the tens of thousands of international students who have studied there. Even before the pandemic broke out, Victoria had a focus on working in your nominated occupation or a job offer in the 491 visa in an occupation list that was much broader. Let's hope it goes back to that way in the future, otherwise give Victoria a big miss. Tasmania and the Northern Territory are standouts, offering the full range of occupations possible, so they must share the top spot equally. South Australia has a very good range also, and they come in second place. The ACT has a broad range of occupations with a reasonable variety, and the occupations are the same for both the 491 and the 19 visa, just as the same as Tasmania, Northern Territory and South Australia. WA has a limited range with being more focused on the graduate list. New South Wales is limited in its 190 list, and even the expanded 491 visa list in some regions would not be considered as generous as some. Victoria is still pandemic focused. Time to get over that, as we feel there's no longer a threat to the virus down there. It is also vague about what they do offer or choose in their invitation rounds. Queensland is extremely pandemic focused, which is odd considering they were the lucky state with very little virus concerns. So are they using the pandemic as an excuse? The ACT comes in first place with the fastest possible avenue for state nomination. Within a short 3 months of living in the ACT, you can be in with a chance for the 491 visa. No other state or territory offers this. It also does not require you to be working in your nominated occupation, which is another bonus. The Canberra matrix definitely benefits couples with the ability to add more points, whereas if you are single, you are somewhat disadvantaged. Tasmania has a minimum requirement of 1 year in study to be eligible for state nomination, so this too offers a quick result for people looking to study and secure their residency in Australia. For the 491 visa, Tasmania can consider work experience even though it is not in your nominated occupation. The 6 months of work experience or 1 year study can be attractive for former students whilst on the graduate 485 visa. You can also apply directly to the state, and there is some certainty that your application will be considered. South Australia has a unique system of individual occupations having their own requirement. The graduate pathway does have the 1 year minimum requirement like Tasmania, but generally, unless your study is in higher education and have a good GPA level, most of you will require at least 3 months experience in your nominated occupation after you study. While this 3 months experience only needs to be 20 hours a week, this can still be a tough ask, particularly those in white-collar professions. New South Wales has a fairly difficult requirements for students looking for 491 sponsorship. You need to study in the regional area in New South Wales for 2 years. Also, this study must be directly related to your nominated occupation, which can be very restrictive. The work pathway too is hard, requiring 12 months of work experience in your nominated occupation in regional New South Wales. Some regional areas offers 3 months only, but this is on a case-by-case basis. The 190 sponsorship criteria is not hard, but you just need to be living in New South Wales, but the competition pushes up the points needed to an extremely high level for most occupations. Victoria and Queensland do not have graduate pathways, so if you choose to study there, you do at your own risk of being able to get employment when you've finished. However, the employment requirement is straightforward, requiring only 6 months, but it is still a considerable amount of pressure on those who may have just graduated in their professions. The Northern Territory has 2 years of study criteria for their graduate program and the full occupation list. You can also apply directly to them when you're ready, and they have a good record of sponsoring students who study there. Working in the Northern Territory in your occupation requires the 6 months minimum, but most of you will need to be living in the Northern Territory for at least 12 months as well. Western Australia does give the benefit for international students who study there for 2 years, but with more places reserved for higher education than vocational level. The work experience pathway is reasonable, but the limited occupation list is a bugbear at the moment. So which state or territory is the best for you? For a fast result, the ACT is a good option if your occupation is on the list. And if it is on the list, that's a good thing too, because you never know when they're going to change it. For stability, you can't go past Tasmania and the Northern Territory, and they have the full range of occupations. Tasmania, however, gets first place due to the shorter study requirement, the stability factor, and the fact that you can nominate an occupation which does not have to be relevant to the job that you are working in. Also, their record of sponsoring for permanent residence via the 190 visa for those who study higher education is excellent. Many people are being nominated simply because they have skills and some experience in the jobs that Tasmania needs at the moment, such as aged care support and etc. The Australian Capital Territory takes second place simply due to the speed in which you can be sponsored for the 491 visa program. At 3 months only, it leaves all other regions for dead. And also the fact that you can be working in any occupation is a great bonus. The Northern Territory is in third place due to its consistency factor, and the chances of being sponsored there if you complete the 2 years study is actually very high. South Australia comes in fourth for the short 12-month minimum study period, and for some occupations, the requirements are quite reasonable. Still, the state got off to a shaky reliability start, so let's hope they improve with time. New South Wales is in fifth place for the new expanded occupation list for the 491 visa. In a few regions gives some good outcomes, and the 190 visa list is not so bad. Queensland takes in sixth position only due to its small business owner pathway, and Western Australia is seventh due to its limited list and poor record of reliability. Victoria takes a wooden spoon award for the last place for its poor explanation of what occupations will actually be nominated and the lack of opportunities for international students who studied there. I hope you've enjoyed this comparison, and if you're looking for advice that is tailored to your needs and circumstances, we do Zoom, Skype and telephone consultations. You can book a time to speak with us at australiavisa.com. If you want more detailed information on the different step nomination requirements or want to know more about how to apply for the 190 visa or the 491 visa, there will be links in the description below to all the relevant videos. Come follow us on Facebook for our full range of updates, and before you go, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell for videos every week. As always, take care out there, and I will see you next time. So bye for now.